You have to go out to the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop hundreds of Toyotas indoors in one of America's largest showrooms at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. A man who is a Canes legend and near and dear to Leroy Hord's heart.
Yes,
Bernie
he is.
Joining us here on the show. Bernie, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Tobin and Leroy, awesome to be with you today.
Bernie, I don't know. One thing I want to know, I've been partners with Leroy now for like 8 years, and I just exhaust him left and right. But when he hears from you, he just gets happy, man. Like he has an easy feeling. He seems happy when he hears from you. How do you do that with him? Because I just seem to be driving him nuts all these years.
Well, thank you for swelling my cranium up to see that he actually smiles, okay, when he hears my name. Because back in the old days, hazing was not only allowed, it was expected by the quarterback. So when you were a rookie and I'm the veteran quarterback, you had to be a little harsh on the rookie. So I had to be a little bit at the beginning, but Leroy, and I don't want to swell his cranium, but Leroy was so dominant a football player, and me and him had such a rapport on the field. He was hard to get mad at because he was so damn good at getting open, catching my passes and blocking. So he made me statistically awesome out on the field. So I can't love him enough for being out there.
See, Tobin, see how that works? See how that works? You ought to try it sometimes.
Maybe. I guess I gotta change my ways, Leroy. But I don't throw a ball as good as Bernie does.
And I wish I was saying that just to be gratuitous or Eddie Haskell nice and stuff. But really, it's just generally true. So some of my kind of more iconic plays that were kind of drawn up in the sand, Leroy was a big part of. And actually, after watching the Kansas City game last night, Leroy and me had one of our bigger plays against Kansas City where he made one of my little 5-yard passes. He turned into like a 75-yard touchdown run, which thank you very much for that, Mr. Hord.
Hey, I did well with that too. Believe me. So, Bernie, did you watch the game last week? Did you watch the Canes game last week?
Yes, I did. Yes,
and
I did.
When was the last time you saw a University of Miami team play almost mistake-free, dominant up front, and disciplined football? It's been a while, right?
Wow, Leroy, what a astute point and a great way to kind of get right into the Canes stuff. And yes, whether it's my old days with the Canes, mine and Leroy's day with the Browns, I absolutely am a homer. And as a trustee at the University of Miami, I bleed green and orange. So there's no question that I want to see the positive side of things. But if I could peel that back and put my objective football hat on, Leroy, I absolutely concur with you. To see a opener like that from any football team, but especially our University of Miami team, for the way we haven't been really dominating the line of scrimmage for the last quite a few years and having pre-snap penalties and undisciplined type plays, to come out and soundly beat a solid football team that was a bowl team the year before, and to just dominate the game the way a Miami team was awesomely fun to watch. And actually, I think sets up really cool for a real amped up national game that University of Miami, we put ourselves on the map 40 years ago, making games like this mean something in South Florida. And it's kind of cool that it's the 40th anniversary of the national championship, and Texas A&M is coming to town for a nationally televised game that really means something for the magnitude of our Miami program again.
Bernie, I was going to ask you this reunion, when you get these milestone years, is this Goosey's galore when you guys all gather together like this and you get to reflect on something so special? What does that mean to you?
Well, you know what, Tobin, is at first it's hard to believe that it's 40 years ago. My God, I don't feel like the old man now in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter of my life. But you know what, you get more reflective. And, this, I want to talk about really just the national championship part of it, but really that game and football really teaches you kind of life lessons, and your DNA of kind of some of the things you are as an adult really happen from stuff that happens as a young man. And that team, we lost our first game that year, and we got beat at Florida. And that team and that passion, that commitment, that resiliency, that ability to get back up after you get knocked down was kind of epitomized by that 1983 national championship team. And I just love those guys so much for it. Tobin, to your question, to the point where, talking about that national championship game and that season, I had so many things in my life after that, whether it was Leroy getting cut in 1993 and that resiliency, that ability that the 1983 Canes team taught me to not quit, to not feel sorry for yourself, to be resilient, to get back up. So I get cut from Cleveland, and then 30 years ago, I get to go to Dallas and win the Super Bowl with them. So then retiring in 1997, I had so many physical issues with my health and wellness. So that 1983 team teaching me how to not quit, not feel sorry for yourself, to now be here today talking to you guys north of 11 o'clock and feeling good after being diagnosed 4 years ago with 5 years left of cognitive brain function, and to be able here to know what cognitive is and to be able to articulate, enunciate, communicate multiple syllable words and to kind of reverse some of the cognitive decline. It's just awesomely honored to be a part of it. And I can't thank my teammates anymore in the University of Miami anymore for kind of what they taught me, for never quitting and getting back up. It's kind of when I say, Leroy, you and me, you hear me say it, we've kind of branded it up in Cleveland where we say you matter because we care about people. We tell people that you matter. Well, that's part of what I kind of learned in 1983 from my University of Miami brothers, that you matter. And it's part of a core foundation of what I stand for as I get into my health and wellness journey here in the fourth quarter of my life.
Oh, the great Bernie Kosar. Go ahead, Leroy.
Bernie, so one of the crazy things that I've always remembered about Miami is it's one of the unique schools that went from quarterback you, linebacker you, running back you, tight end you. And I'm talking about first rounders, top guys all over the NFL. And it's interesting to see now that they're trying to get back to that, where you come to Miami, you win football games, you're going to be that guy. And I'm thinking, what group, looking at Tyler, was it Tyler Van Dyke?
Yes.
Watching him play, do you see some of those things that, he has done as a leader and as a quarterback that makes you feel good about getting back to those days?
Leroy, great point. And a lot of my ex-teammates would be mad that you left out the wide receiver greatness, because I was with Eddie Brown, Michael Irvin, Brian Blades, Brett Perriman.
Right. So, all guys that we all played against. Right.
Yeah, those are some big dogs and stuff. So, that's an honor to play in that many gifted players. And when you have that many gifted players around you, just like I was Tobin, glowingly saying about Leroy, good players make us quarterbacks look good. And Tyler, though, what I really liked, and Leroy, just as you astutely pointed out, the mistake-free, dominant, in-control game that the whole University of Miami played this past Saturday, starting with Tyler. His dominance, his maturity, his leadership, you could tell who the man was Saturday afternoon at Hard Rock Stadium. So that was very comforting to see a quarterback like that, knowing who's the man, who's in charge, and he was leading it. And that was very cool to see from a old school quarterback perspective.
Bernie, we're seeing the quarterbacks again, these monster deals. Joe Burrow, he just got a $219 million guaranteed, highest paid player in NFL history. And like all the QBs from that class now pretty much locked up except for Tua. Tua's got a big year coming up, and he had talked this year about, maybe thinking about stepping away after the concussion stuff from last year, but then is doing jujitsu to try and avoid these hits that he has. What do you think about, his career? Because so talented when he's on the field, but obviously that is a big thing. You do have to be available. and he's going through, went through a lot last year, not only physically but mentally. What do you think of his talent? What do you think he's gone through going into this season, this critical year in his career?
I love Tua, love him a lot, and I'm afraid for him at times because he had some of the same doctors that started my medical decline back in the mid '90s, helping or hurting him, which is a massive issue still with us players in the league and us ex-players. So partly why I'm so obsessive. Tobin and Leroy knows this, and as we'll be talking hopefully through the course of the year, why I had to find my own health and wellness program to save my life from. And it's funny as we're talking about this, or sad that we're talking about this during September, which is National Suicide Prevention Month. And last Thursday was International Overdose Awareness Day, that I could have been a stat in either one of those lines there, because some of the doctors and treatments that us ex-NFL guys get is so disruptive. So some of the things that unfortunately Tua has had happen with his concussions is a guy who's had over 100 of them that ultimately led to 14 seizures that had me in a coma in my last two for 72 and 96 hours. Some of the things that you've got to do to hold off some of the TBI, traumatic brain injuries that causes that fencing that happened to Tua on the midfield on the stretcher of the Cincinnati Bengals game, unfortunately was happening to me. So learning how to hold off those effects and slow down that deterioration, of our brain has been a fixation of mine that thankfully I've found some relief that Tua absolutely needs to pay attention to, unfortunately.
So, Bern, who are some of the guys, because, you told me you were going to eat with some former players. Who are some of the guys who are back that you guys are hanging out with, and who is, the guy you look forward to seeing? Like, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Who's that guy?
Well, I got to say that it was so many of our brothers here that it would be tough to just say any one of them. But one of the things, Leroy, that I would say with some of my old linemen here is that, and I said it in jest, but I've had like 40 surgeries, 80 broken bones, 100 concussions. I said 14 seizures. I had some challenged offensive lines when I was in the pros, and I was not the fastest guy, so I helped the decline of my body. But I had some challenged offensive lines. I did not have that, Leroy, in college. I had one of the most awesome offensive lines, and I was very rarely touched. So I can't wait to see all five of my old offensive linemen together.
Well, Bernie, we really appreciate you making time for us. Thank you so much, and we hope you have a great morning. Have a great weekend. Enjoy this weekend, and thank you for spending time with us.
Thanks. Hey, follow my journey on the KosarWellness.com, and love to keep up with you guys through the course of the year. I say you matter because we're trying to make a difference for everybody.
Definitely, right? Bernie. We'll make that happen.
I'll talk to you,
God
Bernie.
bless you guys.
All right.
You matter. Go Canes. Go Dolphins this weekend.